coming forward in my mind, and I was processing all of it.
That's great. That's awesome. I haven't gotten to speak with him about it, so that's great.
No, yeah, I mean, next time you see him, or if he comes by and does it again, you should ask him about it. But it was one of those things where that has to make you think as far as health and medicine goes, because what I feel like in this world is what we're doing is, we're not taking time to take a step back and let our bodies rest and recover.
Yeah.
And what we do instead of that is like, oh, you can't handle this certain workload because all of this is on your mind. That means you have ADD and you need to take an amphetamine to make you work harder. And to me, that seems like you're going to grind the gears till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I'm like, what if we got back to designating a time for like a release and meditation and decompressing? And I think that's like, I want to say, like, because I've noticed, the float industry has been taking off and has been getting so much recognition that I'm like, is that a result of us as a society realizing, like, holy crap, we've got to figure out some way
to do
that.
I think that's a main component to it, is people realizing that and being like, yeah, we need to, but not just in flotation, but also in meditation. Yep. Meditation is more popular now. I mean, there's so many apps for meditation that are really encouraging people to take that time because we need it, right? Yeah. Because we're seeking it out. And interestingly enough, yoga, meditation, flotation were all very popular in the 60s and 70s, right? And it kind of like goes through these waves and surges, the ebb and flow, I guess, of where we're at with it. And there's a lot of other social unrest that sometimes is accompanied with that because we start to feel those stresses in our environment, and we're seeking ways to right them or to relax. Because one of the things that I think stresses people out most is that some of the people we have come accustomed to relying on to tell us how to relax are actually doing the complete opposite, like you said.
Right.
Like they're giving us amphetamines instead of telling you to go outside, exercise, and meditate. Right. And that unfortunately is not just because people think for some reason that amphetamines are great or whatever. It's that prescription drugs, although very beneficial for some things, are incredibly overprescribed, and that comes down to a kind of money issue with people getting paid, and that's a whole different story and stuff like that. So I think people are moving in that direction, even in Louisville here. Like instead of sending a kid to detention, they send them to meditation, you know, and they have them close their eyes and think about what they did, and that is far more effective, you know? So with floating, though, one thing that I just wanted to mention and kind of add on to what you're saying before is that with flotation, and what Justin was probably sensing was that I also kind of jokingly but realistically seriously say that for those who have a meditation practice, floating's like meditating in a vacuum. Like they say you can't reach terminal velocity because of the friction of like the wind and whatever in the world, But when you get in the float tank, there is no friction of the outside world. You have none of those like external forces. So I think that for those who have a meditation practice, so people say like, I've been meditating for 20, 25 years or something like that, and they get in the float tank and they're like, I was able to go to a deeper place quicker and deeper than ever before, and then maintain that space, which I find really interesting because I don't have that type of practice in terms of that many years under my belt. And when you have people who do, and then they go right into the tank and they come out and they say just that, and you're like, impressive, like it's really
that's cool.
It's really great. And like Justin, because he is somebody who is incredibly spiritual, and he's well read, and he loves music, and he's he's a really interesting person who definitely has obviously a spiritual and mental practice. And for those who have, I think it's not to say that if you don't have a spiritual practice or a meditation practice or but sometimes the stronger the mind is, sometimes the more powerful the floats can be, and that's literally not for everybody, but I've just noticed sometimes that like people who are like Marines or people who are like extreme athletes you have to mentally push yourself in order to physically get to certain places. And I think that you can only be as strong physically as you are mentally. And if you train yourself mentally and then you get in a float tank, you have a very profound experience. But sometimes just passing out for 2 hours is an amazing experience.
I think that just that willingness alone to get out of your comfort zone is probably one of the first steps. Because